14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a man to test the will and goodness of a free people. So God made a dictator.
But I think if you had a real election and Jesus came down and God came down and said, I'm going to be the scorekeeper here.
We know that Donald Trump, a complete, in total diagnosable narcissist, thinks pretty highly of himself. And so the more and more unhinged Donald Trump gets, the more crazed the comparisons of himself to God. Yes, God become, we have seen recently, Donald Trump talking about how God himself saved him from 2 assassination attempts because he's going to save America and because he is divinely chosen to be the leader of our country. Just crazy stuff from Donald Trump that his evangelical followers eat up. But the comparisons to God seem to be not enough for Donald Trump. He wants to be a God amongst his cult followers. And it's not just his words that suggest that it is his crazed truth social post. And I want to check out one of the most insane things we have ever seen Donald Trump post on Truth Social. Just this absolutely crazed video saying that God made him to save America. It is crazy. We are going to watch the whole thing, and then afterwards we are going to check out the hilarious way that it is backfired on Donald Trump, really just putting him to shame. But before we do that, if I can quickly ask you to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It goes a long way in supporting our channel and really means the world to me. And let's get into this video.
And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news for their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake them. I need the most diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country, somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country to be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
Insane, right? I tried to warn you. This is what Donald Trump is posting 32 days out from an election. This is his closing campaign message that he is divinely picked because he is the chosen one, that he is a God amongst men. How crazed is this individual? This is the leader of a cult, clearly a dangerous cult. And we can always tell that Donald Trump is only ever looking inward or backwards, while Camis is focused on the future. She is talking about plans and policies to build a more perfect union. Donald Trump is complaining about his own grievance. He's talking about cats and dogs and the things that matter most to him all the time, like Hannibal Lecter and windmills. These are two completely different candidates and two completely different people. Donald Trump is completely deranged, and like I said, this ad completely backfired on him. He was put to shame because the Lincoln Project, as they always do, decided that they would spoof it and turn it around on Donald Trump in really the perfect way for how he sees himself versus is how we see what he wants to be. And I want to check out that ad right here.
And on the eighth day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a man to test the will and goodness of a free people. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man who failed in everything, a golden palace, and convinced the poor he serves their needs. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a wicked man to lead the common folk with hatred and fear. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a corrupt man who is above the law and immune from justice. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man whose followers will call black white, call evil good, and call criminals hostages. So God made a dictator. God said, I need his political party to obey without question, and the press fear his wrath. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a cruel man who uses his power and position to punish and harm his opposition. So God made a dictator. God said, I need a man who breaks the faith of even his most godly followers and leads them to idolatry. Place him above me. So God made a dictator. And then God said, I sent this man to test you, and until you cast him down, you have failed. So God made a dictator.
Donald Trump is a want-to dictator, a WN to be authoritarian, and a want-to God amongst men to his cult followers. That is what he is. That is what he has always been. He will sacrifice whatever it takes. He will throw anyone under the bus to have complete control, of course, over his cult and complete control over our country. Donald Trump wants to be a dictator, and you don't have to trust me. You can, for the first time in your life, hopefully trust Donald Trump because he is the one who said it. And that's why it's always so ridiculous to me when Republicans want to say that it's dangerous rhetoric to repeat the words that Trump has said about wanting a national abortion ban or wanting to punish women for having their own reproductive freedom and using it, or of course wanting to be a dictator on day one. But it's not just Trump who sees himself as this cult-like God. His cult-like followers do as well. And the recount put together what is just a hilarious but also scary compilation of how Trump supporters view him essentially as Christ. And I want to check it out.
The Democrats and the fake news media want to constantly talk about, oh, President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon.
You think about Jesus Christ himself. Everybody went against him because he was preaching love and doing what was right for the people. And Trump's doing what's right for this nation. And because he's doing that, everybody is against him.
He's cast himself as a martyr, compared himself to Jesus.
Just thank God for President Trump. He's the hands and feet of Jesus.
Indicted for you.
If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what will when we talk about Project 2025. And I think this is so important. The context of the praise and cult-like devotion to Donald Trump. We don't just talk about it as a plan with bad and dangerous policies. We talk about it as a plan to set Donald Trump up to only have cultists around him, only have cultists running and destroying our government. Donald Trump doesn't want anyone who can tell him no. And that's what should scare us most. It's not just the horrible policies outlined in Project 2025. It's the even more dangerous individuals who will implement them. Those are people who will not check Trump. Those are people who will go out with the belief that they will be pardoned if they break the law and do whatever they want. And that should terrify us. It should scare us so much. especially when Donald Trump continues to become more and more deranged, as we can see in this clip right here.
But I think if you had a real election and Jesus came down and God came down and said, I'm going to be the scorekeeper here, I think it would win there. I think it would win in Illinois, and I think it would win in New York, which is all places that, in theory.
He says this more and more. If the votes were counted by Christ himself, he would win California in New York. Now, it's not just a crazy thing for Trump to say. It is clearly him trying to sow doubt about the outcome of the upcoming election, and not enough of the mainstream media is covering this. Because of course they're not. Because they fall short of living up to their job as journalists and covering the stories that matter most, that Donald Trump is still attacking our elections. And this should be incredibly important in the light of the new evidence brought forth by Jack Smith, showing that Donald Trump was planning to deny the results of the election no matter what. And he's going to do it again. And we have to call him out, as he continues to say crazy stuff like this.
Now spared my life, it must have been God, thank you. Not once, but twice. And there are those that say he did it because Trump is going to turn this state around. He's going to turn this country around. He's going to make America great again. And maybe.
Hey, Donald, if you want to make America great again, just leave us all alone. We are so tired of hearing your voice, seeing your face, and listening to the same old dick about Hannibal Lecter and windmills and sharks and batteries and McDonald's and whatever it may be that day. We're done. We're ready to turn the page. We're moving forward. And we're going to be talking about this every single day on the show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.